to use all these facilities. So, sir, thank you very much for taking part in our presentation. This is something what I hope that we will go very quickly through this, and this is like a first meeting in a row. The meetings will assist our development of the report about let's say feasibility or some policies which can be implemented in India, which the document is going to be developed together with Solar Power Europe and our Indian partners. And we have already started the work. This particular thing is like a definition of the starting point. So we just should understand what's going on and how the market is developing and what is the basis. And we already had some information from IRENA, some forecasts, but we have developed our own scenario to better understand even these forecasts. So this is actually the purpose of today's meeting. And at the very end of the presentation, I will present two scenarios, and I will ask all of you, all of participants, to give some feedback. What do you think? Which scenario is more probable? The high scenario or low scenario? So later we will promote a scenario which will be, you know, I would say more probable, or at least you will tell us which is more probable. If you, and also I expect that maybe you will find some flaws in our thinking. This is some errors, and this is actually something what is the most valuable part. If you find some errors, some flaws, some incoherence, please let us know, and you can break the presentation anytime you wish. There is a limited number of participants. I don't know how many, but I don't know how to use this tool, but most probably a few, like 5-10 people. Around 10 people were registered to the service. So I'm starting. If anybody has any question, he can give the question right now, and I will provide the answer. If there's no question, I will go forward.
Yeah, there's no question, Mari. You can continue.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So this is some historic data which we extracted from MNRE website. Let's say number for 2020, it's some random number, and we will see what will be soon, and we have to correct it. But till 2019, this is the actual data about the capacity installed in India. So what is quite interesting is that from 2010 to 2018, the curve is like a exponential. Actually, exponential means like corona, like it's similar to coronavirus. Every other year, the capacity has been doubled. But in 2000,
Marek, I will just interrupt you. This is I think this is for only solar portion.
This is for
total entire renewable energy installation is very high, but this figure is for only for solar portion.
Yes. We are talking about solar.
Yeah.
Yes. So what is in this thing, this is from MNRE, and hopefully it's correct. If it's not correct, we can correct it anytime. But what is interesting is that in 2019, there is a break in the pattern, and actually the growth is smaller. Okay, so what the next slide is about share of the different sectors, and we in our model we are assuming, but this is actually the correct, the precise numbers are already got from various sources, but we are assuming that around 90% of installed capacity till now, and even this is very similar to the pattern is similar to the last year. 90% belongs to the on-ground systems. The remaining around 10% is rooftop and off-grid. So this is quite important information, because if this is true and if this trend will continue, it means that the most of waste will come from this source, this actually on ground. And what is also important, here we can say that from this graph we can have another conclusion, that if we are talking about rooftop, the rooftop can this slice, brown slice, can be also divided into two parts. It can be like commercial and residential, and commercial sector is a majority right now. Maybe in the future it will be different, but right now it is a majority. So if you are thinking about ownership of the PV plants, we can say that majority of Indian power plants or PV systems belong to some companies. There are industrial or commercial systems, and only part of this belongs to the residential sector or to the rural sector once it's off-grid. So most of the transactions, there are B2B transactions, not B2C. The client, the final client is somewhere, the share of the ownership by private client is very, very small. Okay, so we have two scenarios. We have analyzed two scenarios of the growth, and we here I would like to present you the highest scenario, and the highest scenario actually leads to 100 gigawatts of total capacity in 2022. So this is like a scenario which follows the policy goals of MNRE. But to reach this goal, in 2021, the growth should be like 180% comparing to year 2020. So we will jump from 6 gigawatts or 7, let's say from this level, to 17. So it means that in 2021, the amount of PV solar systems should be doubled. And in fact, we can expect that it should be doubled in the sector of on-ground systems, because this is something what was done before. And in 2022, just following this model, we can reach almost 200 gigawatts, but we have to install even more. So like 8 times more capacity than in 2020, what would be extremely difficult. So having such a trajectory, maybe in 2030 we can achieve 400 gigawatts. So this is one scenario. It can be disputable, and in fact, for our analysis, it doesn't have big impact. I will tell you why, but we should understand what growth is feasible or not. So what I would like to propose is also to consider a lower growth scenario. And in this lower growth scenario, we have increase every year like 2-3 gigawatts till 2028, where is an apogee, and later there's like a saturation, and the growth will be every year will be the same. So if we consider this lower growth scenario, stable and lower, we will not reach the policy goal in 2022. Only half of this can be reached, and in 2030 the capacity will be like 184. So we have two scenarios. One is I would say very revolutionary. It means that the changes are revolutionary, and the second scenario is more I would say sustainable and stable. So there are two scenarios of growth of capacity, and also we assumed that during our analysis, we are talking only about panels, because why we are talking of only about panels? I will come back to this graph. So in 2010, actually the entire process started in India, but we can assume easily that the program started in 2015. There is some substantial growth after this time. So let's, for the simplification of our discussion, let's say that the program started in 2010, and from this time the systems are under operation. So it means that if each system is designed for 25 years, the first end of life waste will appear in 2035. So it means that till 2035 we will have no waste which will come from demolition of the systems. This is, of course, this is simplification. Maybe some plants will be demolished a bit earlier, but for sure it'll be the majority will follow this pattern. So maybe there will be some cases. So this is our assumption. So if there will be no demolition, there will be no other waste than panels. The panels will appear because of the damage caused by the transportation, maybe under installation, and maybe some replacement will be needed during the operation itself. So this is our assumption. It's a bit oversimplification, because maybe we should also think about inverters, which should be replaced maybe 2 times during the operation of the plant. I hope that this is clear why we are talking only about panels right now. So also remember that panels in fact consist of the laminated element, glass and some semiconductors and silica, and metal frame around. Okay, so transportation damage. Here in our in this presentation, I present the assumption that the transportation damage is somewhere between 0.1 and 0.3%. But we have done some research. Mrinal, my colleague Mrinal Madas already called installers, and they said that the transportation damage is actually lower. It's lower than 0.1%. This is actually very, very good information. So we will review the high scenario, because the high scenario here is too high. Later, we also have some assumptions related to the weight of the solar panels, and also Mrinal made some research. We have already references to this, and the weight of the solar panels in 2010 was close to 80 kilograms, and right now it's close to 70 kilograms. So actually they are getting lighter. So it means that the amount of waste generated will be lower later. Also, we took into account the replacement rate, and in reality replacement takes part in India over first initial 5 years, when the system is under warranty, but we made it even over 25 years just for modeling, and there are two scenarios, high and low, and of course we can discuss about this value, and we can check the amount of the waste generated at the end of the exercise for both scenarios. So after having or taking part or after having everything into consideration, we calculated the mass of installed panels, and we used these two scenarios of the growth. One, which I would say follows the policy, and the second one lower. So we calculated, we multiplied the installed capacity for the given year by the weight of the panel, and actually we got the result. Yeah. So this is it. I see maybe there is some error in calculation, but the logic is proper, so I have to check it. And later we calculated the waste generated, and we divided this into few categories like on-ground, rooftop, off-grid, and edge of life. So according to our scenarios, we can see that still till 2030, the majority of waste will be produced by on-ground systems, but we have to eventually consult this number with MNRE. Later, rooftop, off-grid. Off-grid is very small, and there's no end-of-life waste. So once we have a low scenario, what is very interesting is that in 2018, we had generation at the level of, let's say, 2.5, and later, according to our calculations, actually, till 2024 to 2025, the number of, or the volume of the waste will not increase dramatically, and even till 2030, the growth is not so big. When we take into account the higher growth, the situation is a bit is different. The amount of waste increases dramatically in 2021, but as I said, most probably the growth of the capacity that time, like 6 times more than in 2019, is less probable. So maybe I will try to conclude, because this is actually everything what we wanted to show. So we have 2 scenarios, one low, the other one is higher. I'm really interested in your opinion. What in your opinion is more probable? And the conclusions from this are as follows. First, there's no end-of-life waste, or close to zero. The majority of waste will come from businesses, and already businesses have managed the waste quite properly. So it's quite interesting how they are managing the waste, actually, because even if the government has no action, most probably the existing system can bear some not big growth of the waste stream. The bigger, maybe it can be a problem. So I believe that this is it. I don't know if everything is clear, and yeah, if anybody has any questions, you are welcome. Oh, nobody. Sir, it was clear.
I will make few observations. What you have projected is convincing, and the scenario you have taken, the waste will depend upon that. And if you assume a little bit of wastage in transportation, then some panel replacement required here and there, and then some other issues, then this is the scenario emerging by 2030. So till 2035, we have plan for full capacity, and after 2035, it will be scaled up in a gradual fashion. So this scenario is okay. Now we have to concentrate on that policy issue that we had decided in the last meeting. That So I'm fine with this presentation. The calculation assumptions taken are reasonable, so I accept that.
Thank you, sir. Why I wanted to start from this, because if we consider this scenario proper, we already have some system in India which is working. It means that the producers or vendors already have this thousands of tons of waste, and they are handling somehow this waste. So what we we should understand how they are handling this, because Mrinal already done some research and called these vendors. They said, we are just deliver this waste to the recyclers, and the recyclers are doing something. So also Mrinal called some of these recyclers, and actually these recyclers do nothing. They just collect it and dump it to the landfill. But some of them are starting to invest already in recycling technologies. So yeah, so this is just the comment. So we are obeying your orders. It means that we are going to present the first, let's say, comparison of European and Indian policies very soon. Our partners from Solar Power Europe have already started the work, and next week they promised to show the first results. So once we are ready to present the first results, we will let you know, and we will show you the next presentation. And also, I believe in 2 weeks, we will present you some more comprehensive description of the current situation in India. What I mean by current situation. For example, we think that the financial setup for recycling is not created already, and there are the recycling is very expensive, and also that it's not organized. But on the other hand, we got information that at least for this transportation damage, which is already listed here on this slide, the cost of recycling and storage is covered by insurance. So this is quite interesting because money are already there, the technologies are already in there, so maybe we can also think a bit more, I would say, creatively about the existing system. So we are going to dig deeper and understand how things are going currently. So maybe I would like to really finish, but maybe somebody else from participants would like to say something. Maybe somebody has some comments. If not, please click on the link delivered to you through email. There's some very small poll. We are just asking which scenario is more probable. This is important.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. This is Jan Knack, German Solar Association. I have a question with regards to quality assessment in your scenarios, because what we've seen in the past, that in the Indian market there have been like huge quality issues with panels, maybe also with inverters and so on, and thus I would expect for India a much higher replacement rate of PV panels and PV systems, at least for some of the segments. And is this reflected in the higher scenario, or how is that? Because I mean, what we hear is that some of the performance of the panels are worse than in Germany and so on. And so I would assume that, okay, hopefully there is a learning curve, that more quality will be better quality will be installed in the future, but this should also be reflected in the replacement cycles.
If you don't mind, I will answer questions one by one.
Yes.
So right now I will try to answer your question, and maybe somebody else from the audience will have different opinion about it. So maybe somebody else would like to comment. So, shortly speaking, in India, as far as I understand, there are a few problems connected to the quality. The first problem is the quality of the work and equipment. So it means that some materials, because of the pressure on the price, have already much poorer quality. So it's true, and this is something what we would like to reflect in the analysis using something like shorter lifetime of the entire system. So it means that maybe we can predict that the life of the system will be a bit shorter, and this is also something what is connected to the high demand of operation and maintenance in India due to weather conditions, due to dust and some other things. So we haven't incorporated this higher level of replacements because we don't have data. If we have data, we can do it. Also, there is another important factor. I believe that people will replace something over the first 5 years of the operation, once the warranty is in place. Later, maybe they will not replace it, but I'm saying maybe because you know, if we have in mind the structure of the market, we have big power plants, ground mounted, and commercial power plants, and these owners really care about the quality. It means that when we are talking about commercial clients, PV rooftop commercial clients, usually there are RESCO type of companies. So these clients are focused on the quality. Also, commercial power plants, maybe the quality is not hyper superior, but I think that it's enough good to keep running the system for 25 years. But this is my personal opinion. So in fact, the share of poor quality systems most probably can be limited to the off-grid and residential PV solars, which is most probably somewhere between 5 and 10%. Hopefully I provided some answer, but it's very difficult to reflect it properly in the model. But you know, this is the model anyway. It's a kind of simplification of the process.
I'll just add what Marek has said. He has so far we have 38 gigawatt of solar panels installed in our country. So out of 38 gigawatt, 5 to 6 gigawatt is installed as a rooftop solar systems. So those rooftop systems, almost 80% are either on RESCO mode or installed by commercial operators, taking help of some good companies. So they are supposed to maintain the life of 25 years. So this 6 gigawatt and 20% is generally installed by small players on capex mode. So it will be roughly around 1 to 1.5 gigawatt, including off-grid solutions also, because off-grid installation is not much. So altogether, it will not cross the figure of 2 gigawatt so far. And going ahead, we are trying to ensure quality. Therefore, in a 1 or 2 years, some quality standards will be added in our system. So in that case, the life of the small players, the small PV plants also will increase up to 25 years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Marek, there is one more question, and it is mentioned in the chat as well by Mr. Edwin. Mr. Edwin mentions that why the figures we have taken here are till the year 2030, because a lot of waste are expected to be generated after that. So, can you answer this thing? Yeah.
Yes. So we already can easily project calculation till 2050 even. This is not a problem, but I think that till 2030 the numbers are, I would say, more or less proper. So this is something like background for discussion about policy decisions which have to be taken, let's say, in short term. The first decision most probably should be done, what should we do till 2021? Policy decision, yes? The second, maybe till 2025. The next, 2030, and next 2035. So if I trying to imagine what would be the decision till 2025. And in my opinion, in 2025, if we have this low growth scenario, till 2025, the waste market will develop very slowly. And actually, it will be managed mainly by commercial clients and distributors, the vendors. So actually, this is there are the problems which should be most probably covered by some policy decisions in 2020, this short term. And what really affects this stream of waste till 2030 to 2035, I believe that right now also there are some decisions needed which are related to the eco-design and material use to protect the waste against being harmful. Because if we have a huge amount of harmful waste, we will have a problem. But if the waste is harmless, I believe that even storage will be, for example, storage of glass, if it's not recyclable, will be feasible. So this is just we stopped it in 2030 just for the sake of the discussion about political or policy, actually not political, policy decisions which should be made in 2020 and the horizon, what we are going to talk about and how seriously, because if we are thinking about year 2025, we have to be very, very serious right now. But when we are talking about year 2030, still we have some time to make some decisions. Maybe even decision can be made in 2025 if we know the kind of the decision. So this is why we wanted to focus our projection on this period, but of course there is no limitation. We can, Edwin, we will follow your comment and we will add a few columns to this.
Actually, I want to clarify a few points. Actually, the government of India had earlier taken a decision for installation of 175 gigawatt by 2022. And recently, our Honorable Prime Minister has set a target for 2030, that is 450 gigawatt. So out of that 450 gigawatt, 300 gigawatt will come from solar. So when I'm seeing the low growth scenario and high growth scenario, in high growth scenario, we are exceeding that target. And in low growth scenario, we are falling short of that target. So
Okay.
Ideally, we have a clear roadmap to reach up to 300 gigawatt through solar installation. And after that, also this journey will continue, but there is no clear target available right now. But assuming the growth scenario, that lower growth scenario and higher growth scenario, it can be extrapolated for coming years beyond 2030 also.
Got it. Got it, sir. Okay. Yes.
Marik, 1 second. Dr. Rachna Arora has provided a question in one of the comments. Maybe Dr. Arora, can you unmute yourself and ask the question directly to everyone?
I'm Rachna, working for the EU Resource Efficiency Initiative. And Marek, if you remember, we had also met and also shared some of the work that we tried to do on the solar panels and renewables as a sector, especially from the resource intensity point of view. And of course, the results look interesting, what you presented. But I somehow just feel that when you mentioned this bit of the waste collection, I think there, of course, we have to be supremely careful. We have one of the regulations which is very closely related to the solar panels is the electronic waste policy. And this is what at least I was aware of, that the Ministry of Environment, who is our counterpart as the resource efficiency project, was looking at putting the solar panels into the e-waste category. And this I'm not sure of what is the stand with MNRE and even with your policy recommendations, firstly. And secondly, I think it's very essential to identify the manufacturers and the take backs, because in our study, that's what we also tried to project, that who would be these people on which you can actually put in a responsibility. In electronic waste or in batteries, it's very different. And how would that channelization of waste, because right now you just project very minimal, but I still feel about the obsolete waste, the waste before, like 15 years, 12 years, we still have deployment, because I work with some of the recyclers, the e-waste recyclers who have actually started getting solar panels into their e-waste collection stream. So it's not that it's not coming, it's coming, but the technology and the recycling is informal, one, and secondly, they're not solutions. And we don't know if electronic waste is the best stream to categorize this. So I think some discussion on that could also be.
Ms. Rachna.
I would like to answer this question, ma'am.
Yes.
Actually, from MNRE side, we are in touch with NEF, and we have submitted a policy document also for recycling of PV waste, solar PV waste. And right now we are working with the EU to improve it further. We will come up with a policy document. We will send this document to Ministry of Environment and Forest to include in their recycling policy. Or if Environment and Forest will tell that MNRE can issue from their end, so we can issue that policy from our end also. Right now, we are trying to make a policy how to regulate this PV recycling thing. What is the best way? What is the economical design for that? So we are working with EU on that.
Yes, but maybe I will add something to this. When we are talking about current legislation, the PV waste, as far as I understand, is the waste management regulations is not mentioned separately. So it means that formally PV waste is not categorized as an e-waste. Just for the moment. There is already a draft of the policy in the ministry, which will, if it's implemented, if the policy is in place, the PV waste will be categorized as a. So this is the first thing, and also some guidelines of MNRE after life PV waste is described as an e-waste. So most probably some recyclers treat the the PV waste as an e-waste because they think that it's right, but there is no obligation, at least for the moment, to do that.
Also, Dr. Arora, if I may, just to your question and recommendation that there is a problem, or the aspect of financing of the recycling or proper disposal of this should also be taken care. So after this section, we are also going to work on a few models wherein we are going to assess what are the costs will be involved in this recycling, and also definitely the responsibilities, that is who actually is responsible for collection, for recycling, and also, you know, to develop or maintain a register as well, so that whoever, or the producer who is putting this product into the market, is finally responsible for its proper disposal. So we have this thing in our work plan and are going to work on it soon.
I hope that we will be able to eventually clarify all these questions later on. I don't know if we are able to incorporate this right now, this let's say discussion about categorization of the PV waste into this model. The model already shows the waste stream, and without actually going into these details, and I think that in the nearest future we will be able to go to more, I would say, more detailed layers of the model. And hopefully, Marina next week will give us some better understanding of the existing system, how actually right now PV waste is handled. Okay, so sir, Sir Anterstina, if you don't mind, if you want to close the session, it would be great. If not, I will close. Oh, you are not, you are muted. Wait a moment, just 1 second.
Yeah. Sorry.
Now you are unmuted.
Yeah. So the way you have presented, now we have a fair amount of idea the quantity of e-waste that will be generated in next 10 years, and we have to start working on that since we are finalizing the policy regarding e-waste, recycling of e-waste or PV recycling. So we will finalize this report within a time frame that we have decided, and then we will recommend this policy to MOEF to consider. And after due diligence with the Ministry of Environment and Forest, we will publish this document, and it will have a complete chain of things, right from installation, right from designing of PV to installation, and then maintenance, and then disposal of entire thing. It will give some business models also. It will also recommend the role of government in form of some kind of support, or in form of some kind of prescribing some ecosystem for that. So I hope that this journey that we have started will end soon, and we will come up with a very good policy. And now I'm looking forward for your draft policy proposal.
Thank you, sir. We will continue our meetings over the time. So most probably our team will meet every week. But we don't expect that you will take part in every meeting, but you are welcome. It would be great if you can take part. But
whenever you will need me, I'm there.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. It was great pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for participation. Hopefully you will press or you will take part in the poll, and you will tell us your opinion about the probability of the scenarios. And if you have some other comments, please let us know. Hopefully on Monday, I will prepare the Word document, and I will send the Word document together with the Excel file just to play and to understand our model. So what we are doing open source model available for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.